What's up, guys? So welcome to this behind the page. I just want to go over this Gameboy that I had a really good time working on and figuring out for which was supposed to be a Skillshare class, but instead I decided to make it a YouTube, just a course on YouTube. But this is pretty much the same exact way I would do it for Skillshare. I explain everything. Everything is step by step, and it's just a little bit more meticulous than when I just make tutorials for YouTube. Because for Skillshare, you just have to do a lot. You have to take a lot more steps and make it a lot more thorough. But I wasn't sure that my Skillshare audience would be as into making a Gameboy. I felt like YouTube was just a better home for this. So, and there's just something I like about nostalgic things. Like I really have an urge to create like the old school Ninja Turtle little toys. What do they call action figures? Action figures. You know, there's something about that I've been wanting to draw, or that I've been wanting to make in 3D. Something about this nostalgic stuff just is really nice, really fun to create. And when I'm making these, you know, I'm sort of figuring it out as I'm going. So sometimes when I have a next step to do, I'll stop the recording and I'll figure out what I have to do. You know, I'll work out the problems. So sometimes they can take a long time because there's multiple ways to do different things. And that's one of the things that's really helped me a lot during this process is you kind of learn how to learn on the go, because I have to figure this stuff out, and I also have to make it fun. I have to keep it engaging. I have to sort of keep it so it feels like that I know what I'm doing. So, you know, but there's a lot that I don't know. You know, most of these things that I make, I literally just have to figure out how to make each and every little part as I'm going along. And just the more I do, and I'm sure, like, you know, if you follow my tutorials, you know, each time you figure out something, or each time you make a new shape or every time you're doing something new, you kind of just add that to, okay, well, if I need to do this ever again, then I'll do it this way because this worked better. And, you know, I have to work out different ways to do things to make sure that I'm doing it the most efficiently. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'll start out with a sculpt, and then later on I'll just realize how to do things more efficiently. You know, like actually when I was making the Gameboy, I had to make that little curved one edge had to be a round curve, and I could have done the Gameboy the way that I did this screen. I didn't do it the way that I did the original Gameboy shape. But that's the best thing about it. As I'm going along, I learn so much just from trying to figure it out, and just trying to make it as succinct and clear as possible, because that's the sort of tutorial that would be most useful to me. And shout out to Quantillion, of course. He was the first one that I was able to follow his Nomad Sculpt tutorials. I learned so much from him, and it just makes a big difference to use your hands. Now, I've been doing Procreate tutorials and using my hands, of course. Using my hands as in like showing them on screen so you can see. I just learn better that way. So that's why all my tutorials are always going to show my hands so you can see what I'm doing. You can see exactly what's happening. Because I can't really, it's really hard for me to follow, especially Nomad Sculpt tutorials. I can follow them now because I sort of know enough to be able to get away with it. But when I was starting out, it was so difficult to follow what the teacher or what someone was doing if I wasn't able to see where they were clicking and how they were getting to it and things like that. But this actually wasn't supposed to be super photorealistic. I really wanted to do something just a little more cutesy and like kind of just generally basing it off a Gameboy. But I don't know, this is when I started getting some crashes here. The size was getting pretty big, the size of the project, so then there's always crashes. So I have to be really, really careful about that and careful to save, which is another thing that I'm really adamant about, is saving, because you will have crashes in Nomad Sculpt. But But I was really nervous. That's when the first video ended. And this is actually the second video. And I just finished editing these down, which in itself takes a long time because I can't go through all the footage because that would be like 6 or 7 hours worth of like footage and stuff that I've already edited out. So I just sort of go through it, and I try to trim it and trim the fat. So even this sped up version is, so at least it makes sense. Because I like doing these little speed, these little time-lapse videos. But yeah, I was really excited once I got to this point because this is all like kind of fun stuff, just figuring out how I want. Oh, there we had another crash. Actually, I don't know what that is. Not a crash, but I was trying to voxel merge these shapes together, and they just would not work. So then once I turned down the I made it, voxel merged it to around 200, and it worked fine. So I don't know for some reason it was just a higher resolution. When I tried to voxel merge it, it just didn't work. Then we get into the typeface, which that took forever because I was going to use just a random, text and not really try to match it perfectly, but it's so hard not to, try to make it as perfect as you can get it to the actual Game Boy. So anytime I had something else that I was like, this is fine. It doesn't have to be photorealistic. I'm just like, but I really want it to look as legit as I can make it. And actually after this, I added a little bit of texture to the Game Boy because it actually has that sort of, there is like a texture on the Game Boy. At least it looks like it from the photos. So I did try to match that, but it wasn't really worth it because I had to subdivide it a lot and made the file really big. And you could hardly see it. So it just wasn't worth it. And actually here I was trying to do a turntable, but I had the Game Boy was at the wrong angle. So I had to grab the whole thing and put it so it was facing the camera because I had it like laying down on a table. All right, so that's the Game Boy. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Say hello in the comments. Keep drawing, keep sculpting. I will catch you all in the next video. Thanks so much for watching the video. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you'll know when I do my live streams. Also, follow me on Instagram, DrugFreeDave, and DrugFreeDave3D for all my new 3D work. I have a Facebook group, Procreate Tutorials and Guidance. And if you're interested in having me as your own personal art teacher, then be sure to check out my Skillshare classes at drugfreedave.com. All right, keep drawing, keep sculpting. I will catch you all in the next video.